Isn't this a great day in Detroit? Congratulations to Wright Lassiter and Bob Riney and the whole Henry Ford Health System team for this remarkable facility. And it's all the more special to be here with Mrs. Ford, the owner of the undefeated Detroit Lions. So, Mrs. Ford, I'm just thinking about the path that we took to get here, and it actually started with your family 25 years ago when I was working at Wayne County, and Bill Ford called me and said, my family's been thinking that maybe we made a mistake moving out of the city of Detroit, and if we could get the right arrangement, the Lions would like to come back home. It's hard today to imagine how hard that was to believe, but when the stories first broke in the paper, there were people who called thinking it was a hoax, that there was no way a professional team could be moving back in the city. It goes the other way. But the Ford family went against the grain at a time things were not going well for this city, and that paved the way for what's happened today. And a few years ago, I got a chance to meet another visionary, a fellow by the name of Arn Tellem called me. And we went out to dinner, and he said, you know, I think it's time for the Detroit Pistons to come back home. We're going to follow the Lions trail. And while Tom Gora certainly has been the one making the decisions, there is no doubt that Arn Tellem was the person who loved Detroit and drove the decision. And Arn, thank you for everything you've done for our community. But the people leaving Detroit, it was also true in the hospital industry. I think about the 80s and the 90s, hospitals engaged in what they called the suburban arms race. Who could build the biggest and the best out in the suburbs? Because you had to bail on Detroit, and people moved their surgery centers, their rehab centers, built new hospitals, and closed their old facilities in the city of Detroit. And that was a heartbreaking thing, because you look at major cities in America, one of the economic anchors are the specialty hospitals. Think about Chicago or Boston or Philadelphia or Pittsburgh. They've got great suburban hospitals, but the high-end specialty care is in their central cities. Except Henry Ford, while they built things in the suburbs, never for 1 second did they abandon their mission in the city of Detroit. Every time they expanded in the suburbs, they built onto the central campus and said, this is going to be our home. And there were a lot of people criticizing, what are these guys thinking investing over there on Grand Boulevard? Don't they know? And yet they invested and they reinvested. And the Affordable Care Act certainly has changed the dynamics in cities. Detroit's comeback has been a factor. But now I look at this city and I say, just down the street, we're going to have one of the Midwest's great cancer centers here at Henry Ford Hospital System. And we have one of America's great athletic medicine facilities right here in the city of Detroit. And Henry Ford has been a part of the city for more than 100 years, and I just think to myself, today is a special day. This remarkable facility is the result of a marriage between the Detroit Pistons, who came back home, and the Henry Ford Health System that never left. Congratulations to both of you.